Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for Us. So Us is a movie from Jordan Peele, director of Get Out, and it follows the story of a family that is being terrorized by a family that looks identical to them. It's just like them, only they're wearing red suits and they sound different and they look different, and there's some very weird things about them. And it's a horror movie, just similar to Get Out, only this one it's a lot less comedic. This one does still have some comedic moments in it, but it's a lot more serious and a lot more terrifying. Us was, I believe, my second or third most anticipated movie of 2019. I was ecstatic about this movie because I love Get Out. I think that Get Out is a masterpiece of modern cinema. I think it is the perfect example of what a modern day horror movie should be. It was entertaining, it had elements of social commentary, it was a good mix of comedy and horror, and one did not ruin the other. It had great performances, it had a fast pace, it literally every single checkbox I can think of that would be a well done horror movie for audiences, it had, which worked in its favor because it was the most profitable movie of 2017, and because of that, because they saw such a big profitable margin, they decided to give him more money to create another horror film just 2 years later, which is Us. And the trailers for this movie I really liked, but the trailers weren't really what drew me in. What drew me in was the fact that it was from the same director as Get Out, and I really liked the way that the trailer used music. That's how you can really win over if I'm excited for a movie or not. With a trailer is how they use their music, and I thought that the music was used really well. So I was super excited for Us, and it did not disappoint. This movie was insane, absolutely insane, and right once it's over, you will sit in your seat and realize just how insane this movie is. And the great thing about it is that while it's going by, you don't really fully get a moment to breathe and think about how strange and absurd it is. You don't get that moment, because that's what the characters feel as well. They don't get a moment to think through what's happening. They just have to go so that they're not killed. And I loved the way that Jordan Peele did that. He took the audience and put them in the perspective of the people in the actual film, and I love it when you do that because that makes you far more attached to characters. And I think that this movie maybe could have done a bit of a better job with getting you attached to the main characters in it, but I still think that just by using that one simple cinematic trick, you really felt connected to these people and you really did care about them. And I love the way that this movie is paced. It is so expertly paced because everything is dropped at the right moment. You don't want them to show the alternative people too soon, but you don't want it to be that it's 40 minutes into the movie and you still haven't seen them. And when the movie needs to deliver thrills and when it needs to be scary, it does so very, very well. I think that Jordan Peele is just one of those directors where what he wants, he gets. If he wants a film to be fast-paced, he gets that. If he wants a film to have a terrifying moment at this exact moment, he does that. And he is a genius at horror films because he has a great way of building up atmosphere and building up individual scares. That's really difficult at times. Sometimes in a lot of movies that use jump scares, they go straight for the individual scare. Sometimes in other movies like Rosemary's Baby, they build up the atmosphere a bunch and there's not really a bunch of individual scares. And certain movies, the individual only works, and certain movies, the atmosphere only works. But this movie, and especially also Get Out, they use individual scares and atmospheric scares perfectly together so that you're terrified of the atmosphere and also terrified that the next second something horrible might happen. And the performances in this movie are captivating, especially Lupita Nyong'o. She is... oh my god, she is incredible in this movie. I hope that she gets a Best Supporting Actress nomination because she 100% deserves it. Her character suffers from some PTSD, and the way that she acts with that is so incredible. And even in some of the smaller moments, it's really good. But when they first confront the family, you see some of her amazing acting. It's so good, and I loved her performance. I also think that Winston Duke was really good in it, and I thought that both the kids, for being kid actors in horror movies, were both really, really good. I think that I just have a problem with the movie in some of the consistency things, and I can't really get into that without spoiling the movie, so I won't, don't worry, this is a spoiler-free review. but there are some inconsistency problems that I noticed. I can't really get too much into those. And I will say that this movie, it took me a while to fully get engrossed in it. For a while, I wasn't super engrossed, and I think that that's just my own personal fault. I don't think that that's the fault of the movie at all, but that was just something that I noticed. But besides that, I don't have a lot of problems with Us. This is a very different horror movie from Get Out, because Get Out, when I think about it, I just think about it as more of a movie rather than specifically a horror movie, because it had comedic elements, it had action elements, it had horror elements. It was a huge conglomeration, also romance. It was a huge conglomeration of a bunch of genres, and they all fit together super well. And I thought of it more as a comedy horror. This is straight up horror. It's terrifying. And when you leave the theater, I can't explain it again without going into spoilers, but I'll say this. When you leave the theater and you think about yourself walking, you will get terrified. And that's such a weird thing to say, but those who have seen the movie understand what I'm saying. Us is incredible. I don't think it's the best movie of 2019, but that could easily change. I still think I would put Paddleton above it, but Us is still a masterpiece of horror. I am so happy that Jordan Peele continues to do well. I hope that he only gets better and better, because if he does, he will be one of the best horror icons in film history. I will give Us an 8.75 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my review for Us. So, what are your thoughts on this film, or what did you think of Get Out? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.